Hi, this is Barry Lewis along with Mike Brown, and welcome to our look at Week 9 of the high school football season. We're only 2 weeks away from the playoffs starting, Mike, and this week we've got some big games that will decide playoff berths and playoff positions. One of those is in 6A, and you're going to be at Sand Springs where the Sandites host the Rams.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being there for that one, and of course of real historical importance. If Owasso wins that game, it breaks Union's streak of 14 district titles in a row. A lot of some big games in Class 5A.
Yes, I'll be at Bishop Kelly where the Comets host Memorial. Bishop Kelly can clinch the District 5A3 title with a win. Memorial can get closer to its first district title in 30 years with a victory. Memorial, of course, still has a trip to McAllister left to end the regular season. That should be quite a matchup. Mike, what impressed you the most last week about the Bishop Kelly's win at McAllister that you were at?
Well, a lot of things. Bishop Kelly's balance. They really run the ball well. They really play defense well. And maybe something that went under the radar was Brady Goforth's punting. I believe it was the first time he'd punted all year and averaged well over 45 yards. Had a 61-yarder ahead of McAllister's long drive at the end of the game. And if he'd kicked a 51-yarder, McAllister might have won the game.
All right. And last week we each saw some important 4A contests, and there are again important 4A games this week. One of those is Tulsa at Cleveland. I saw Cleveland last week, and I was very impressed, even though they wound up losing to Wagner at Wagner 40-24. For 3 quarters, Cleveland led, and they look like the real deal. This Cleveland and Tulsa game on Friday night will decide who gets a home game for the first round of the playoffs and which team has to go on the road. So that's very important. And Mike, last week you saw Cassia Hall and Fort Gibson. What were your impressions of that game?
I think Fort Gibson is the final score. Cassia Hall won 35-7. I think that Cassia Hall is very strong. Abram McCorders had a terrific game. I don't think Fort Gibson played as well as they think they are capable of playing, and maybe let some opportunities slip away early in the game. And I think they look like a very solid playoff team, and I don't think they'll lose a lot of steam from that game.
Skipping back to 5A, there's some key games in 5A4 this week, Mike.
Very big. Every game, as we've said, every game in 5A4 is big because there's 5 or 6 deserving teams there, at least 5, and one of them's going to be sitting at home. Claremore goes to Coweta. Pryor plays at Collinsville. Pryor at Collinsville could be the more important game because one of those teams could be left out. On the other hand, Claremore, leading the district by a game over East Central, has to win there probably has to win there to win the district title. And of course, Coweta with 2 losses isn't a lock for the playoffs. So
it's definitely a scramble, that's for sure. That Pryor-Collinsville game, a great matchup. Carson Smallwood is having a great year for Pryor. Their running back, and Zane McElroy is having a very fine year at quarterback for Collinsville. Mike, anything else as we look ahead to this week? An interesting game in 3A.
Hilldale versus Tahlequah Sequoia, and Hilldale, its first year in coming down from 4A to Class 3A, has been maybe one of the surprise teams in Class 3A this year. And remember, next week we'll be doing all those playoff scenarios because it looks like to me about 3/4 of the teams still have some playoff possibilities.
That's right. All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us as we look at high school football.